The 1961 Plymouths marked a pivotal point in the brand's history, signaling the beginning of a long decline that would eventually lead to its demise. While the vehicles of that era were admired for their modern designs and innovative features, several critical factors contributed to Plymouth's struggle in the following years. These cars were released during a time when the automotive market was undergoing significant changes, and Plymouth was unable to effectively adapt to the shifting landscape. A major issue for Plymouth in 1961 was its inability to carve out a distinct identity in the automotive world. The brand's models were too similar to those of its sibling brands under the Chrysler umbrella, such as Dodge and Chrysler itself. The designs, features, and pricing structures across these brands began to overlap, which confused consumers and made it difficult for Plymouth to stand out. With each brand offering nearly identical models, customers found it challenging to understand what made Plymouth unique, and loyalty to the brand began to dwindle. As a result, Plymouth failed to build a strong enough following to secure its place in the competitive market. During the 1960s, the American car market saw increasing competition, particularly from brands like Chevrolet, Ford, and Buick. These companies had already established themselves as leaders in the industry, offering reliable, stylish, and performance-driven cars. Plymouth, while attempting to keep up with the trends, struggled to gain a foothold in the market. The lack of differentiation, combined with the growing strength of competitors, meant that Plymouth's cars were overshadowed, and its market share began to shrink. The 1961 Plymouth, while stylish, was unable to capture the public's imagination in the same way as vehicles from other manufacturers. At the same time, the automotive industry was shifting toward larger and more luxurious vehicles, which further complicated Plymouth's position. Although the brand offered a variety of options, including some V8-powered models, it was not able to transition into the high-end luxury car market. In contrast, its competitors excelled in this area, producing vehicles that appealed to a more affluent and discerning customer base. Plymouth's lack of a strong luxury presence meant that it was unable to keep up with the changing demands of consumers, who were increasingly drawn to more premium options that offered both performance and comfort. Furthermore, by the early 1960s, Plymouth's designs began to show signs of stagnation. While the 1961 Plymouth had a modern look, the following years saw little innovation, and the brand's cars began to appear less exciting compared to what was being offered by rivals. As the 1960s progressed, Plymouth struggled to introduce designs that captured public attention, and its vehicles were seen as less desirable. The lack of bold design, choices, and innovation left Plymouth lagging behind in the highly competitive market. In addition to these challenges, Plymouth was also affected by the economic and consumer trends of the 1970s. The oil crisis and growing concerns about fuel efficiency pushed buyers towards smaller, more economical cars, and Plymouth's larger models became less appealing. While other brands adapted to the demand for compact, fuel-efficient cars, Plymouth failed to make the necessary adjustments. This shift in consumer preference, combined with the brand's ongoing issues with differentiation and innovation, further diminished Plymouth's standing in the automotive world. By the early 1970s, Chrysler began to phase out the Plymouth brand, which eventually led to its complete discontinuation in 2001. The 1961 Plymouths, though innovative for their time, were part of a larger trend that highlighted the brand's inability to adapt to the changing automotive landscape. The confusion between sibling brands, the rise of luxury vehicles, and the failure to capture the public's attention contributed to Plymouth's eventual decline. What began with the 1961 Plymouth marked the start of the brand's downward trajectory, which culminated in its eventual disappearance from the market.